I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it's the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me.
I walk into a room just as cool as you please, and to a man the fellows stand. I fall down on their knees. And then they swarm around me, a hive of honeybees. I say, oh, it's the fire in my eyes, the flash of my teeth, the swing in my waist, the joy in my feet. Men themselves have wondered what they see in me. They try so much, but they can't touch my inner mystery. When I try to show them, they say they still can't see. I say, oh, it's in the arch of my back. And now you understand just why my head's not bowed. I don't shout or jump about or have to talk too loud. When you see me walking, it ought to make you proud. I say it's in the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hands, the need for my care, because I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. That's my mother and all your mothers. And then my grandmothers, and all your grandmothers, and my great-grandmothers, and your great-grandmothers, and my great-great-great, and your great-great-great, and all you women here, and me.
Maya Angelou stated, "You can only become truly accomplished at something you love. Don't make money your goal. Instead, pursue the things you love doing and do them so well that people can't take their eyes off of you." Maya Angelou accomplished much more than just monetary success. Her accolades display that she did everything that she loved and did everything exceptionally well. And here is the story of Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou was born as Margaret Johnson on April 4th, 1928, in St. Louis, Missouri. Her family later moved to Stamps, Arkansas after her parents divorced.
Now, I know there are people who say, what a pity and a shame, the result of a divorced family. Oh. And it's true, sometimes. But then sometimes we ought to get a grip. Some people ought to be divorced. True business. My mother and father did my nation a favor by getting divorced. Liberated us all, thank the Lord. Their next moves were not so swift. They put me and Bailey on a train in Los Angeles with tags around on our arms. No adult supervision. I was 3, Bailey was 5. The tag said, "These children are to be delivered to Mrs. Annie Henderson in Stamps, Arkansas." Stamps, Arkansas is a village about the size, a little bit larger than this stage, right? Not as large as the gym. Because of the kind offices of the dining car waiters and the Pullman car porters, we actually arrived in that village. I can't believe it. It's over 70 years ago. And they took us off trains and put us on others, and we arrived in this teeny little village with my grandma, my father's mother, and her other child, my Uncle Willie.
Maya Angelou received her nickname Maya from her brother. At one time in my life, from the time I was 7 until I was about 13, I didn't speak. I only spoke to my brother. The reason I didn't speak, I had been molested, and I told the name of the molester to my brother, who told it to my family. Maya Angelou.
I told the name of the rapist to my brother, who told it to the family. The man was put in jail for 1 day and released, 1 day and night. And about 3 days later, the police came to my mother's house, into her parlor floor, where Bailey and I were playing a game. We called it Monopoly, because we never heard it pronounced. When the police came in, and there were 2 huge policemen, white, and they had blue serge uniforms. In the 30s, blue serge was about 1/4 of an inch thick. if not thicker. And they had huge brass buttons like that, shining like new money. They looked like giants to me. And they told my mother's mother that the man had been found dead, and it seemed he had been kicked to death. I thought my voice killed the man. So for everybody's sake, it was better if I didn't speak. So I stopped. Then, traumatized, finished. My mother's people did their best to woo me away from my mutism. They sang, they did everything, but I wouldn't. So after about 3 months, they sent me and Bailey back to Stamps, Arkansas, this little village, to Mama.
At the age of 7, she returned into her mother's care, but was then raped by her mother's boyfriend. He served time for his crime but was murdered upon his release. Maya believed that the confession of what had happened led to the molester's death. She became traumatized and became mute for 6 years. During her mutism and into her teens, she again lived with her grandmother in Arkansas. Maya credits a teacher and a friend of her family, Miss Bertha Flowers, with helping her speak again, challenging her by saying, "You do not love poetry, not until you speak it." My mom was a terrible parent of young children, and thank God. I thank God every time I think of it, that I was sent to my paternal grandmother. But my mother, she was a great parent of a young adult, Maya Angelou. Prior to the start of World War II, Maya moved back in with her mother and was living in Oakland, California. Maya took an interest in poetry and memorized works by Shakespeare and Edgar Allan Poe. But at the age of 15, Maya was determined to get a job. This was during World War II when men were enlisted in the military, so it left many positions open. Maya applied for the position of a streetcar conductor, but was barred from applying at first because of her race. Every day for 3 weeks, she requested a job application, but was denied. Finally, the company relented and handed her an application. She was under the legal age, so she wrote that she was 19 on the application and was accepted for the position. She became the first Black American woman to work as a streetcar conductor in San Francisco. She remained working on the job for a semester, but then decided to return to school. She graduated from Mission High School at the age of 17 in the summer of 1944, and 3 weeks after graduating, she gave birth to her only child, Clyde Bailey Johnson. To provide for her son, she worked as a shake dancer in nightclubs, a fry cook in hamburger joints, a dinner cook in a Creole restaurants, and once had a job in a mechanic shop, taking the paint off cars. Loving someone liberates the lover as well as the beloved, and that kind of love comes with age. Maya Angelou. In 1949, she married Tosh Angelos, a Greek electrician in the U.S. Navy. She adopted a form of his surname and kept it throughout her life. Though the marriage ended in divorce in 1952, while married, Angelou took modern dance classes and met dancers and choreographers Alvin Ailey and Ruth Beckford. Ailey and Angelou formed a dance team calling themselves Al and Rita, and performed modern dance at Black organizations but never became successful. Angelou, her new husband, and her son moved to New York City so she can study African dance with Trinidadian dancer Pearl Primus, but they returned to San Francisco a year later. In 1954, she began dancing professionally in clubs around San Francisco and changed her name professionally to Maya Angelou. It was a distinctive name that set her apart and captured the feel of her calypso dance performances. She began touring Europe with the production of the opera Porgy and Bess, and began to learn the language of every country she visited. And in a few years, she gained proficiency in several languages. In 1957, she recorded her first album, Miss Calypso, that inspired the 1957 film Calypso Heatwave. Maya's career aspirations shifted after meeting novelist John Oliver Killians in 1959, and at his urging, moved to New York City to concentrate on her writing career. She joined the Harlem Writers Guild, where she met several major Black American authors and became published for the first time.
And when they were both killed?
Yeah, it's shocking. I mean, the floor is pulled out from under one. Because Martin was a brother to me. Malcolm was a brother to me. And you know, the truth is, all women need brothers. Sometimes women make the mistake of seeing a man and liking him and thinking this has to be sexual. Doesn't have to be. You really can use the spirituality of brotherhood and sisterhood and form something so profound.
We may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated. Maya Angelou. Angelou moved to Accra, Ghana in 1962 and stayed there until 1965. She became close friends with Malcolm X during his visit in the early 1960s. In 1965, she returned to the U.S. to help him build a new civil rights organization, the Organization of Afro-American Unity. Sadly, he was assassinated shortly afterward. In 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. asked Angelou to organize a march. She agreed but postponed, and Martin Luther King Jr., sadly, was assassinated on her 40th birthday. 1968 was a year of great pain, loss, and sadness. But it was also the year when America first witnessed the breadth and depth of Maya Angelou's spirit and creative genius. Despite having almost no experience, she wrote, produced, and narrated Black's Blues Black, a 10-part series of documentaries about the connection between blues music and Black Americans' African heritage, and what Angelou called the Africanisms still current in the U.S. In that same year, she was inspired at a dinner party she attended with Baldwin. She wrote her first autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, and published it in 1969. This brought her international recognition and acclaim. My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou was faced with many challenges, from having a mother who wasn't the best, getting molested as a youth, having a child while in high school, going through a divorce, and losing 2 close friends to assassination. She experienced many hardships in life, but never wavered in thriving at life. She did everything she loved and did everything well. Maya Angelou worked as a composer, writing for singer Roberta Flack, and composing movie scores. She wrote articles, short stories, TV scripts, documentaries, autobiographies, and poetry. She produced plays and was named visiting professor at several colleges and universities. She was a reluctant actor and was nominated for a Tony Award in 1973 for her role in Look Away. As a theater director in 1988, she undertook a revival of Errol John's play Moon on a Rainbow Shawl at the Elder Theatre in London. She was a prolific writer of poetry. Her volume, Just Give Me a Cool Drink of Water 'Fore I Die, was nominated for the Pulitzer Prize, and she was chosen by U.S. President Bill Clinton to recite her poem On the Pulse of Morning during his inauguration in 1993. Angelou's successful acting career included roles in numerous plays, films, and television programs, including her appearance in the television miniseries Roots in 1977. Her screenplay, Georgia, Georgia, was the first original script by a Black woman to be produced, and she was the first Black woman to direct a major motion picture Down in the Delta in 1998. Find a beautiful piece of art. If you fall in love with a Van Gogh or Matisse or John Oliver Killians, or if you fall in love with the music of Coltrane, the music of Aretha Franklin, or the music of Chopin, find some beautiful art and admire it, and realize that was created by human beings just like you. No more human, no less. Maya Angelou.